In William Shakespeare's play, Henry IV, Part 2, he declared, "Heavy is the head that wears the crown." I need you to hear me. If you're going to be a king or queen and wear your crown, you have to refuse to entertain clowns. It's time to put your dream in drive so you can arrive at your destination. On this MLK Day, let's talk from the topic. There's a king in you. The power of dreaming and doing. Oh, you know what's up? Turn me up. I'm mic'd up. Join me and let's mix it up. What's good people? How you doing? How you living? How's it going? What's happening? I hope that yes, you are doing well. Well, I want to welcome you to another edition of In the Mix. I'm your host with the most, yours truly, Dr. Eddie Connor, and it is an honor for you to join me today. I'm so grateful and glad that you popped in. And like we always do, we hit the thumbs up button on this video. Yeah, hit the thumbs up button on this video. Hit the like button. While you're at that, hit the subscribe button as well. I'm growing your greatness. Help me grow our channel for change, our channel that creates change, our channel that breaks chains. Come on, kings and queens. Yeah. Join me on that. And like we always do at this time, yeah, we drop some light bulb emojis in the chat as a matter of fact. Come on, jump into our live chat. Drop some light bulb emojis in our chat. We're going to have a courageous conversation of illumination. So drop some light bulb emojis. Let's brighten it up. Let's light it up. Let's liven it up. Yeah, we too lit to quit. We're gonna stay lit. Why? Because we are the light of the world. And today we're going to spotlight and highlight our topic. There's a king in you. Yeah, there's a king in you. The power of dreaming and doing. On this MLK Day, what an apropos topic to really discuss and really talk about. Because if anybody knows anything about me, MLK is my guy. I mean, Martin Luther King Jr., that's my guy. From being a little kid, being enamored with the one and only Dr. King, I remember my mama and family members had a record player. Yeah. And they put some old school MLK records on the record player and put the needle on it. And man, what he was talking about, the words that enliven your spirit, and how he was able to be intoxicated with the exuberance of his intellectual verbosity. Talk about a racist governor with his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. I mean, those type of words just move you. Dr. King would have his vibrato. I left Atlanta this morning, and as we got started on the plane, there were 6 of us. The pilot said over the public address system. We're sorry for the delay. Yeah, I mean, I was just enamored with all of that as a kid. And so, I studied his life, his legacy, his mission, his ministry, the mantle and the mandate that was on his life. I remember being in college as a sophomore, reading a book by Dr. Michael Eric Dyson on the life and the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. I may not get there with you. And it really took off the rose-colored glasses that I just had of the man, but he unveiled the flaws. He unveiled many of the facts of things that people in the public don't necessarily know about, of what he struggled with. And When I think about his last sermon on April 3rd, 1968, at Mason Temple, Church of God in Christ in Memphis, Tennessee, it wasn't even supposed to happen. There's a storm out, and Dr. King had just resigned himself to his hotel room, and Ralph David Abernathy calls him on the phone. He said, Doc, you got to get down here. The people ain't trying to hear me. They're trying to hear you. They're calling for you. So he comes down to Mason Temple, Church of God in Christ, as he's there in Memphis, Tennessee, to be marching with sanitation workers, caring for the least, the last, the lost, the left out, the overlooked, the underserved, and the underrepresented. He talked about that last message, his last speech. He didn't know it was going to be his last speech. Maybe he knew. Maybe he had an inkling. But he sure gave it like it was going to be his last time. It was, I've been to the mountaintop. I've looked over. I've seen the promised land. But there's a particular part of that message, as he goes, in many cases, extemporaneous. He says, I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. And that's the type of gall. That's the type of tenacity. That's the type of wherewithal. Who do you think you are? I ain't fearing you. You ain't nothing but a mere mortal to me. I'm not fearing the opportunity. I'm not fearing the project. And I'm not fearing the business proposal. I'm not fearing the meeting. I'm not fearing what you say about me. Who do you think you are? I'm not fearing any man. And that's what we ought to be declaring. That's what we ought to be echoing. I'm not fearing any human being. I want you to hear me real clearly. I'm not fearing anybody. Not fearing anything. I am not afraid. Essentially, this is what Dr. King said. I ain't never scared. Yeah. I ain't never scared. Dr. King was telling them, listen, you don't want these problems. You really don't want to mess with me over here. Don't let the smooth suit fool you. Don't let the whole aspect fool you. Don't let the occupation fool you. Preacher, but I ain't no punk. From the mountaintop message, the night before to the next morning, Dr. King steps out of his motel room, on the Lorraine Motel balcony. No bulletproof vest, no covering, no place to hide. He ain't never scared. Yeah, shot rings out. Mutilates his body, assassin's bullet, bloodies his body. And he's gone just like that. He mentioned when John F. Kennedy was killed November 22nd, 1963 in Dallas, Texas. That grassy knoll. Many would regard it as the magic bullet. Whether it was one shooter or multiple shooters. Lee Harvey Oswald or not. I'm not going to go into all that. Dr. King mentioned that he would not see the age of 39. He said, if they'll take the president as a white man, what will they do to him as a black man? If Dr. King found himself in 1968, as we're thinking about the historicity, as we think about the legacy, as we think about the life, as we think about the mantles, the mission, the message, the ministry of the one and only Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. King's approval rating in 1968 was at an all-time, not high, but it was at an all-time low. Don't get it twisted now. Don't freeze him on August 28th, 1963 as just being a docile dreamer. He was a doer. Approval rating was at an all-time low. Popularity was at its lowest. And hear me, the threats on his life were at their highest. He was vilified. He was hated. Public enemy number one in the eyes of many Americans. And in the eyes of those he tried to love, they hated him. Isn't it interesting that you always hear me get the most hate when you're trying to show the most love? You always get excoriated. You always get ostracized and talked about the most when you're moving the needle forward. You didn't do anything wrong but exist. And hear me, your existence, just your mere existence makes a difference, and people don't like it. Need you to hear me. Everything you touch got better. But some folks hate it, and they hate you for it, and they got bitter. I ain't just talking about the world. It happens in the church too. It happens if the same thing, if not worse. And here's the thing. The day before that Martin Luther King was gunned down by an assassin's bullet, he found his way, as I said, to Memphis, Tennessee to march with sanitation workers. But here's the thing. As he's marching with sanitation workers, for many years, Dr. King's sanity was in question. What do I mean? Many people may not know it, but Dr. King was a lifelong depressive. He attempted suicide twice before the age of 13. He was distraught because his grandmother died, and he even jumped out of a 2-story building. I need you to hear me. If Dr. King committed suicide, he would not have graduated from high school at the age of 15. He would not have graduated from college at the age of 19. If Dr. King committed suicide, he would not have married Coretta Scott King. Coretta Scott at that time. And they would not have had 4 children. Family, just type, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Come on, type, don't give up. Don't give up. Against all odds, don't give up. Against what people say, against what people try to do. Don't you dare give up. If Dr. King committed suicide, he would not have led the Montgomery bus boycott for over 100+ days, December the 1st, 1955, which ensued when Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give up her seat to a white passenger. His stick-to-itiveness, though, led to the desegregation of the city buses. If Dr. King committed suicide, I need you to hear me, we would not have seen the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 come to fruition. If Dr. King would have committed suicide, he would have not given his I Have a Dream speech on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial on August 28, 1963 in Washington, D.C. for the fight for justice and jobs. If Dr. King took his life, he would not have become the youngest person to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. If Dr. King committed suicide, he wouldn't have marched from Selma to Montgomery. If he would have committed suicide, here it is, we would not have heard that last speech on that fateful day prior to the death, the assassination of Dr. King on April the 3rd, 1968, where he said, I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. And what the enemy wants to do, he wants to kill your dream. He wants to kill you and your dream too. Here it is, John 10:10. The thief cometh not before to steal, kill, and to destroy. But Jesus said, I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. I rebuke the spirit of suicide over your life. I rebuke the spirit of unaliving yourself, of suicidal ideation, of you throwing in the towel, of you giving up. You are the head and not the tail. You are above and not beneath. Don't kill the king within you. Sister, don't kill the queen that's on the inside of you. There's something that's great that's on the inside of you. There's something that's purposeful that's on the inside of you. There's something that's powerful on the inside of you. You're not just a dreamer, you're a doer. And I need you to hear me. As you're not just a dreamer, but you're a doer, here's what God does. God now opens a door for you to use your gifts. Why? Because your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. You're not just a dreamer, you're a doer. Family, just type dreamer, type doer. We're going to make it happen. We're going to do it. And we're going to do it real big. Once you stick and stay, more is coming your way. I've got more magnificent conversation on such a magnificent day as we remember the King, Dr. Martin Luther King, on MLK Day. Stick and stay, more is coming your way. After these messages, I'll be right back.
I realize the extent of your development is connected to the extent of your investment. What I mean, invest little, develop little. But we're investing much into you as you invest in yourself by developing your purpose, developing your goals and your dreams and your ideals and your ideas, shifting you from ideas to income. Where does this all happen at? I'm so glad you asked. It takes place in our Eagles Academy. All you have to do is go right now to theeaglesacademy.com, tap the Join Now button, fill out the form, be transformed to shift your ideas into income, your contacts into contracts, really to grow your ideas, your impact, and your influence. You owe it to you to invest in you. And as a result of it, now you are able to be coached and mentored and be a part of our live trainings with yours truly. Yeah, with me, along with a host of other leaders and trendsetters and trailblazers and accountability partners. No one grows in a silo. The power of mentorship, it takes what I've learned in years and months and I give it to you in minutes. What I've learned in decades and I can give it to you in days. To be a part of our private Facebook group, to get guided feedback through our Eagle's Nest reflections, to get access to all of the content, all the live sessions and the trainings of business development, of financial stewardship, of the impact and empowerment that only takes place when you go right now to theeaglesacademy.com. Again, when you get there, tap the Join Now button, fill out the form, be transformed. But it doesn't just stop there. You want to develop your book? Then guess what? You are an aspiring author. You need to get my bestseller book, Blueprint. It's available right now. accessidentity.org/author. All of the insight of what it is that I have used to write 18 books and be a best-selling author. You owe it to you to get your hands on that. You also owe it to you to get my Successful Speaker Strategies download. I'm telling you, whatever you're building, you can build it better if you use better words. Let me show you how to develop your communication. There's an art to communication. Let me show you how to develop that. Go right now as well to accessidentity.org/speaker. And then I am blessed to pastor the Remnant Worshipers Church. I want you to be a part of the church that I am pastoring at right now. It's such a great thing of what it is that God has fashioned us to do. And it's taking place right here in the city of Detroit, 10 a.m. every Sunday, 6 p.m. we have prayer on Tuesdays, and then 7 p.m. on those same Tuesdays, we have TNT Tuesdays, Truth and Transformation. It's amazing. You want to be a part of it. Go right now, trwchurch.org. And then I want to see your face in the place this Sunday at 20470 Hubble Street. I'm doing my best to save you a seat. Powerful prayer, praise, and a preach word. Can't wait to see your face in place at the Remnant Worshipers Church.
Yes, y'all, and we don't stop. Come on, family, I need you to heed to these resources that you've heard. Let's get back to the word. We're talking about it. There's a king in you. The power of dreaming and doing. On this MLK Day, as we remember the life and the legacy, the mantle and the ministry, the one and only Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Sadly enough, we like our heroes dead. Need you to hear me. Dr. King didn't achieve heights of fame and popularity until he was taken off the scene. I told you, prior to his death in 1968, matter of fact, really 65 to 68, especially how he talked against the Vietnam War as a Vietnam objector. He was a marked man in America. Isn't it interesting that Dr. King was killed 1 year to the day of voicing his opinion about the Vietnam War? April the 4th, 1967. And he's cut down April the 4th, 1968. Dr. King didn't achieve heights of fame and popularity and notoriety really until he was taken off the scene. He wasn't seen as a saint until he was killed. And I need you to hear me. We like our heroes dead. We like dead heroes. Why do we like dead heroes? We like dead heroes because the dead can't make a sound. People like dead heroes because the dead can't challenge us. We prefer monuments over movements. So much so, Dr. Miles Monroe, the late great Dr. Miles Monroe, said, change will always upset people who are content with being stagnant. But at the end of the day, this is what I understand. The only thing constant is change. Nothing remains stagnant, whether you want to change or not. Everything changes for the better or for the worse. And something about Dr. King's name was always negatively ran through the streets. And then here it is, after his death, they named the streets after him. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard is in every major city across America. Hear me. Sometimes people refuse to recognize your greatness until after you're gone. Until you decide to move on from the opportunity that you were hired for. Until you put in your resignation letter. Until you say, you know what, I'm not going to be at this job any longer. I'm moving on. Until you move out of state. Until you say, you know what, I'm going for the divorce because you don't recognize who it is that I am and you continue to mistreat me. Until you break up with the relationship. That's when you're the cat's meow and the dog's bow wow. That's when you're the best thing since sliced bread. Dr. King didn't die. Dr. King wasn't killed because of his dream. He was killed because he woke up. He said on August 28th, 1963, no longer can the Negro be satisfied. No longer can we be satisfied when the Negro is the victim of police brutality. Whether it's forecasted, whether it's castigated, whether it's shown on TV screen or not, African Americans, black folks, are victims of police brutality every 28 hours in these yet to be United States of America. I want to talk to you. You got to keep your dream alive. You got to keep on dreaming, even when people want it to be a nightmare. Why is it? Because Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays, the former president of Morehouse College, would say, there's a crown over your head that you have to grow tall enough to wear. Come on, you ought to begin to crown yourself. Crown yourself with love. Crown yourself with joy. Crown yourself with peace. Crown yourself with increase. I'm him. You're her. Crown yourself, because the crown is not just physical, it's spiritual, it's intellectual, it's psychological, it's emotional. You ought to crown yourself. William Shakespeare in his play Henry IV, Part 2, declared unto you, heavy is the head that wears the crown. But despite all of that, Scripture says for me to put on the garment of praise. Why? For the spirit of heaviness. Song said, I shall wear a crown. I shall wear a crown. I got to crown myself. I got to lay hands on my head. I won't suffocate in silence. I won't be in a place of mental mendacity. I won't capitulate to all types of negative people. I'm going to stop looking down. I'm going to start wearing my crown. I'm too unique to compete. I'm too rare to compare. My loyalty, my royalty demands loyalty. Shall wear a crown when it's all over. Gonna put on my robe, tell the story how I made it over. I need you to hear me. Dr. King was under such intense scrutiny. He was under such intense pressure and stress that when they did the autopsy, the medical examiner found that his heart had the wear and tear of a 60-year-old man when he was killed at 39. Dr. King didn't mince words. He meant what he said, and he said what he meant. He was not afraid, even unto death. And here's what you got to do. You got to feel the fear and do it anyway. The most dangerous place that you can be in life is not when you're walking on water, but when you're staying in the boat. You got to feel the fear and do it anyway. Walk on water. Walk by faith. Do it. Despite how many people talk about it. Do it. Despite when folks said you couldn't make it happen. Do it. Don't just be a dreamer, be a doer. For you to be a doer, it takes faith. Faith, as Dr. King said, is taking the first step, even when you can't see the whole staircase. When you're going through the valley of the shadow of death, here's what you got to remember. That is just a shadow. It's just a shadow. I refuse to be depressed. I refuse to be downcast. I refuse to be discombobulated. You have to repeat the word of the Lord over your life. Why? Because he said, if God be for you, who can be against you? And I got news for you, that when God is for you, the who that's against you doesn't even matter. Why? Because he said, touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. I want to talk to every king. I want to talk to every queen. I want to talk to you. I want you to lean in just a little bit. I want you to lean in. I want you to get a real good look. I want you to get a real good grip. I want you to hear me. I want to talk to every king and queen who's watching me. They better keep their mouth off you, because God's hand is on you. That's a warning. That's a promise. They better keep their mouth off you when God's hand is on you. Here's what I realize. Folks only talk behind your back when you're ahead of them. They only try to pull you down when they're below you. You can't pull me down being above me. I'm the head and not the tail. I'm above and not beneath. And the way some folks behave, you got to let them know, I'm nominating you for an Academy Award. Yeah. For all the drama you keep up, you deserve an Oscar. Because you show are acting up. You too old to be gossiping. You too old to be keeping up mess. What's wrong with you? Come on, they better get a real good look. They better get a real good grip. They didn't know who they messing with. They didn't know who they were talking about. They didn't know who they were talking to. And it's one thing for you to let them know that, but it's also one thing for you to stand 10 toes down. I'm standing on business. 10 toes down. I'm drawing a line in the sand, and I ain't backing up. You gonna have to. I serve a God who is flipping tables. Jesus, I know, wasn't no weakling, wasn't soft. Meek, yes, but meekness ain't weakness. Meekness says is strength subdued. I could go off on you. I could really give you a piece of my mind, but I refuse to be left with just a piece of my mind, but no peace of mind. I am not afraid. Here it is. I ain't never scared. Why? Because you're going through the valley of the shadow of death. It's not really a valley. It's the shadow of the valley. Oh, I'm going to get high off my own supply. That's real good. What you're afraid of is really not that big. It's just magnified in your mind. That's why he said, oh, magnify the Lord with me. I got to minimize the situation, and I got to maximize the Savior. You going back to school really ain't that big. You just psyched yourself out. Starting a business ain't really that big. It's a daunting task, but you just psyched yourself out. Check the rearview mirror. Why? Because even that lets you know that objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. And rather than facing everything and running, you got to face everything and rise. Whatever or whoever you are, I need you to tell it, and I need you to tell them that you ain't all that. You are not that big. I refuse to let you intimidate me. Why? Because whoever you intimidate will be who you eliminate. You're not going to kill the destiny. You're not going to kill the dream. You're not going to kill the drive. Come on, family. Just type king, type queen. Come on. Drop some crown emojis in the chat. As a matter of fact, oh, I'm going to pick up my crown. I'm going to wear my crown. I'm going to wipe my frown. I'm going to wear my crown. I'm going to straighten up my crown. You ain't going to knock my crown off my head. I refuse to lose because I've stepped into my winning season. Told you anything you intimidate will be who you eliminate. And that's why you got to tell certain individuals, get out of my face with negativity. Get out of my face with gossip narratives. Stop bringing me ignorance and start bringing me some ideas. Why? Because I understand folks are not only intimidated by your position, they are intimidated by your potential. And hear me, the more that you get ahead of them, the more it puts a spotlight on their insecurity. The more that you get ahead of them, the more that it puts a spotlight on how they underachieved. Did you hear me? You may be in the valley of adversity, the valley of depression, the valley of sickness and sadness. But don't stop. Get it. Keep going through. Keep walking through. Keep moving to another level, into another dimension. You ain't got to run. You ain't got to run. All you have to do is stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Why? Because God will give you discernment between those who act like they're mentors when they're really tormentors. You're upset because you're not stalling on your calling. Who are you to have a big vision? No, who are you to have no vision? Why? Because without a vision, the people perish. You got to go for it by any means necessary. You got to make it happen by any means necessary. Family, just type royalty. Royalty. You ain't running no more from people who accuse you. You're not running anymore from people who don't like you. You're not running anymore from haters that don't want you to be greater. Just because you don't have self-control don't mean I don't. Your weak area isn't mine. Your insufficiency doesn't bring about my insecurity. Y'all better help me. Because I've been to their specific places and situations. I've been in the storm and the rain, the trial and the pain. Y'all better help me. Y'all better say, listen, for some folks, you got to say, Lord, I need you to get a hold of me because I'll tell some folks to square up. But here comes God. He's tapping you on the shoulder, reminding you, you don't wrestle with flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high places. If I wasn't redeemed, I'd be singing like Kendrick Lamar. I'd scream, squabble up, squabble up. They better be glad that you're in your word. They better be glad that you're on this Daniel fast. They better be glad that you're not reacting, but you're responding. Ain't nothing slow about me. I'm just moving into a place of accountability. It is Stokely Carmichael who said our grandfathers had to run and keep on running, but my generation is out of breath and we ain't running no more. We're not running anymore. We're walking by faith forevermore. You all tell every hater, listen, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for giving me the motivation that I so desperately needed. I want to thank you because you just added another log to my fire. You reminded me once again of the king that I am. It reminded you of the queen that you are. They added another log to your fire. Why? Because it's just like fire shut up in your bones. And the opposition is only putting you in position to win again and to run with your vision. It's a harsh reality. I need you to hear me. There are people who want you to fail. The only thing Dr. King failed at was committing suicide. As decorated as Dr. King was, the only thing that Dr. King failed at was committing suicide. There's people who want you to fail. There's people who want you to give up. There's people who want you to throw in the towel. There's people who are plotting on your downfall. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to disappoint them when they intend on attacking and poking holes in your anointed armor. People are upset because they can't set you up to fail. But I declare and decree over your life that you will prevail. Family, just type, I will prevail. Type, I will prevail. God is sending you Davids when Sauls are trying to destroy you. God is sending you Peters who will knock if you buck and have your back when you got Judases in your camp. It's your time to stand 10 toes down. It's your time to walk away from folks who will smile in your face, but all the time they want to take your place and talk behind your back. It's time for you to walk away from folks who suffocate on your success and let them know I ain't never scared. You want to bring gossip, but I got gospel. You want to try to hurt me, but I'm going to walk in a place of healing. Hebrews 13 reminds us, the Lord is your helper. You don't need to fear what man can do unto you. I love what Psalm chapter 27 said. It said, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Who I need to be scared of? Who do I need to be afraid of? I'm moving in the power of the spirit of what God has in me. From the window to the wall, I'm trying to let all y'all know that when they tried to crush you, when they tried to step on you, you bounce back from the storm, the rain, the trial, and the pain. Devil, you can try to do what you want to do. It ain't gonna bother me. You could try to use who you want to use, but I ain't never scared. I've been broke before. I ain't never scared. I've been hurt before. I ain't never scared. Hit me with your best shot, but I ain't never scared. There's a king inside of me. There's a queen inside of you. Been through cancer before. I ain't never scared. Almost died. I ain't never scared. What else you got for me? You tried to crush me, but like that rapper Bone Crusher, you said, I need to tell you, I ain't never scared. From the window to the wall, need y'all to know that there's a king on the inside of you. There's a queen that's on the inside of you. More than being just a dreamer and sing it. Now's the time to seize it, and hear me, don't relinquish it. Don't relinquish the greatness of what God gave you. Don't relinquish the opportunity. Why? Because he's getting ready to lift your head above your enemies. And when he lifts you up, they got to watch you be blessed. You got to watch me. Why? For he said, I will set you up upon a rock in Psalm chapter 27. Yeah, you can look at me, but you can't touch me. Come on. You can't touch your neighbor, but type your neighbor. Just type, can't touch this. You can't touch my blessing. You can't touch my anointing. You can't touch my overflow. Don't touch me. Keep your hands off me. Keep your mouth off me. Because goodness and mercy are following me for how long? All the days of my life. Family, just type goodness, type mercy. All the days of my appointed time will I wait till my change come. And it's been a long time coming. But I know that I know a change is going to come. Oh, yes, it will. Yes, it will. I want you to sow into this word that you've heard. Hear me. I want you to sow into your royalty. Not as a debt that you owe, it is a seed that you sow. The king that's in you, the queen that's in you. It's time for you to birth it. It's time for you to build on it. It's time for you to unveil it. It's time for you to go after it, to make it happen by any means necessary. I want you to sow into this word that you've heard. Come on, you know this enriched you. You know this is a different type of perspective on an MLK day. And you know I always come up with something creative and different. I want you to stretch the elasticity of your thinking. Because that's who kings are. That's what queens do. And there's a king, there's a queen inside of you. I want you to sow into not just what you're dreaming, but what you're doing. Not to just being a dreamer, but to being a doer. Not as a debt that you owe, it is a seed that you sow. Yes, yes. Once you sow that seed even now, maybe it's a $25 seed, maybe it's a $20 seed. I don't know what it is, but I want you to sow right here where you grow. Cash App, $, Eddie Ministries, PayPal, Zelle, EddieConnorJr @gmail.com. Once again, Cash App, $, Eddie Ministries, PayPal, Zelle, EddieConnorJr @gmail.com. We've been having a super conversation. Drop a super chat, drop a super sticker. Yeah, drop a super thanks. Super thanks to you for listening, for watching, for tuning in, for engaging. Cash App, $, Eddie Ministries, PayPal, Zelle, EddieConnorJr @gmail.com. Link is in the chat. Link is in the description of this video for how and where to give. Thank you for the super conversation. Thank you for the super chat, the super sticker. Super thanks to you. Conversations like this one right here is why you need to become a member of our In the Mix channel. You're watching In the Mix, but you need to become a member of In the Mix. Don't you want to grow your greatness on another level? I know you do. So I'm inviting you to tap the link. Click the link right now in our chat. Link's in the description of this video. As you click that link, as you tap that link, you'll see three options pop up: VIP, Royalty, OQP. Choose one of those three. By giving my gift to you is to give you access to our In the Mix members area. Membership has its privileges. Go ahead and access that right now. Membership has its privileges. Get access to the unlimited, unlock the unlimited, and join us even now. Access granted. Soar with us into our Eagles community. We empower you to soar into greater success and purpose. Do that even now. Do that even now. Yes, do that even now. Soar with us into greater success and purpose at theeaglesacademy.com, theeaglesacademy.com. If that's you, you say, listen, I want to grow in the areas of my greatness. I want to grow in the areas of my purpose and my emotional intelligence, my spiritual gifts. I want to scale my business. I want to develop greater aspects in my marketing. I want to build my book. I want to build my business. I want to really get better as a speaker. Say less. Go right now to theeaglesacademy.com, theeaglesacademy.com. When you get there, tap the Join Now button. Fill out the form. I guarantee you're going to be transformed. Family, was this a transformative conversation? Was this a transformative conversation? If so, drop an emoji crown. Drop an emoji crown if you refuse to let anybody bring you down. Yeah. Yes, family, In the Mix is out of time. Trust me, I'm not out of truth, and so I want to thank you for rocking with me. I want to thank you for riding with me. I want to thank you for rolling with me. Why? Because that's just how we roll. And we roll together each and every single weekday, Monday through Friday, for In the Mix. And we mix it up right here on the YouTube side. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Share this with somebody on this MLK Day. Share this with a dreamer. Share this with a doer. Go ahead, do that. Sincere salute and shout out to all of you who are watching us on our sister satellite stations on social media. I just got a question for you. Are you my friend? Are we locked in? Well, then step this way, step that way. Which way? By friending me and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok. We don't stop. At EddieConnorJr. What is that? EddieConnorJr. Put some respect on my name. EddieConnorJr. Y'all keep showing love. I'm going to keep showing up. And I want you to show up this coming Sunday to the church where I pastor, the Remnant Worshipers Ministry in the city of Detroit, 20470 Hubble Street, is where I'm saving you a seat. A church alive is worth the flight of the drive. Go right now, 20470 Hubble Street. The Remnant Worshipers Ministry wants you to be a part of our amazing experience of word and worship, praise, prayer, and preaching. Got a word in due season for you. Visit us to learn more about our church, trwchurch.org. You can get any of my books. I got 18 books out there on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Audible, as ebooks, audiobooks, hard copies, whatever's clever. You can also get signed copies at my website, EddieConnor.com, EddieConnor.com. I got a litany of resources for my bestseller book, Blueprint. You want to learn how to write your book? This is the year to write your book. I'm showing you how to do that. I have a whole guide that is going to be your guide to really develop and to build and birth your book. Want to develop yourself as a speaker? I got a digital guide called Successful Speaker Strategies, visual video guide of all the intangibles that I use to wow my audience, to be invited back. And you owe it to you to download it. To get both of those resources, you can do that right now at EddieConnor.com. If you're looking for a dynamic speaker, now why would you look any further? You know that I'm the man for the job. So invite me to speak at your church, your conference, your community center, your school, your graduation, your session. Add me to your calendar. Let's make some progression. All you have to do is email me to invite me, info@EddieConnor.com, and it would be an honor for me to empower you. Yours truly, Dr. Eddie, your main man, 100 grand. Your brother, and I mean that, from another mother. Family has been fun, but you know, brother, got to run. So I want you to know it's been a privilege and a pleasure, a treat and a treasure, a joy. Yes, it has been beyond measure. But I want you, yes, you, I'm talking to you now. I'm talking to you to remember to keep the faith and believe it's going to be bigger, better, brighter. Peace and a whole lot of love, King. Peace and a whole lot of love, Queen. Keep soaring higher.
You know, I realize the extent of your development is connected to the extent of your investment. What I mean, invest little, develop little. But we're investing much into you as you invest in yourself by developing your purpose, developing your goals and your dreams and your ideals and your ideas, shifting you from ideas to income. Where does this all happen at? I'm so glad you asked. It takes place in our Eagles Academy. All you have to do is go right now to theeaglesacademy.com, tap the Join Now button, fill out the form, be transformed to shift your ideas into income, your contacts into contracts, really to grow your ideas, your impact, and your influence. You owe it to you to invest in you. And as a result of it, now you are able to be coached and mentored and be a part of our live trainings with yours truly. Yeah, with me, along with a host of other leaders and trendsetters and trailblazers and accountability partners. No one grows in a silo. The power of mentorship, it takes what I've learned in years and months and I give it to you in minutes. What I've learned in decades and I can give it to you in days. To be a part of our private Facebook group, to get guided feedback through our Eagle's Nest reflections, to get access to all of the content and all the live sessions and the trainings of business development, of financial stewardship, of the impact and empowerment that only takes place when you go right now to theeaglesacademy.com. Again, when you get there, tap the Join Now button, fill out the form, be transformed. But it doesn't just stop there. You want to develop your book? Then guess what? You are an aspiring author. You need to get my bestseller book, Blueprint. It's available right now. accessidentity.org/author. All of the insight of what it is that I have used to write 18 books and be a best-selling author. You owe it to you to get your hands on that. You also owe it to you to get my Successful Speaker Strategies download. I'm telling you, whatever you're building, you can build it better if you use better words. Let me show you how to develop your communication. There's an art to communication. Let me show you how to develop that. Go right now as well to accessidentity.org/speaker. And then I am blessed to pastor the Remnant Worshipers Church. I want you to be a part of the church that I am pastoring at right now. Is such a great thing of what it is that God has fashioned us to do. And it's taking place right here in the city of Detroit, 10 a.m. every Sunday, 6 p.m. we have prayer on Tuesdays, and then 7 p.m. on those same Tuesdays, we have TNT Tuesdays, Truth and Transformation. It's amazing. You want to be a part of it. Go right now, trwchurch.org. And then I want to see your face in the place this Sunday at 20470 Hubble Street. I'm doing my best to save you a seat. Powerful prayer, praise, and a preach word Can't wait to see your face in place at the Remnant Worshipers Church.